Hey, what's up, dudes and dudettes? Bradley Guitologist here. This is a Facebook Marketplace find. Somebody said on there they were putting this at the curb. You know, basically, come get it if you want it. It doesn't work. They weren't too specific, but said it did not come on. So, yeah, I'm looking for maybe a possibly, well, it could be any number of things. It could be a backlight issue.
And later on, when I looked at the address on the packaging they sent, it turned out to be the post office.
And I wasn't asking too many questions. I just went and got it. They said they set it outside in a box. I don't know if this is the box for their new TV or they had saved the box maybe for this one and put it in the original box. I don't know for sure. Don't know much about it at all, actually. That much is pretty obvious. The box says TCL, but we'll get this thing out of the box and see what's actually inside of it. Okay. Let's see what we got ourselves into here.
And I just want to get a close look at one of them here. They do at least take some of the mystery out of this of which way they go. You can see in relation to my fingernail, the size we're talking about here, very, very small. But you can see this has a small soldering pad up here.
Seriously, they didn't give me the power cable. Man, come on. Let's see if I can track down a power cable. No stand either, so. You know what's funny? I have another Samsung also that I had started working on. I think I got to the point where it needed one of the boards. But I think the picture was good on that one. So if it turns out that this is a situation where we can mix parts to make one good working set, then that's what we'll do. Where's our power switch? Is it on the bottom? Side. Power switch is down there. Okay. I want to see what happens when we first plug it in to see if the LEDs try to light or what happens. Sometimes when you first plug it in, the default is on. So I want to make sure when I do plug it in, we see what happens. We got a red light, standby light. So let's see what's up with that. We have a blinking red light now. Nothing's lighting up. Ooh, it's... No! Hey! Hey! Check cable connections and the settings source of your device. It came up. It's not very bright. Can I get in the menus? No, there's no remote either. Hang on, I might have a Samsung remote. Let me see what I've got. That might work. Okay, this remote works. Okay, when I hit power, it blinks a few times, comes up full brightness, and then some of the brightness goes away. Maybe it has some kind of auto adjust for the ambient light. I don't know. We're not concerned with source right now. I want to go to menu. Okay, the brightness is the backlight brightness is all the way up. Okay. But obviously it has the capability of being brighter than it is. I just wonder, let's see. The contrast and brightness are all the way up. Wait, okay, so there's the backlight is all the way up. The brightness is now all the way up. Sharpness, color, tint, and we're back around to backlight. Looks like maybe we're, you see how it's kind of a little bit darker down in this area? It looks like maybe some of the lights aren't staying on. because this should have multiple banks of lights. I'm not sure exactly how this one is lit. The brightness isn't really even doing anything. But again, I do find it interesting that the whole thing lights up much, much brighter when it first comes on, telling me it has the capability of being brighter, and then some of them go out. So it's got to be a computer issue more so than a hardware issue. It's got to be, or well, I guess see, it's perfect when it first comes on. So it definitely has the capability of being brighter than it is. I'll turn it off. We'll turn it back on. It takes a second for it to come on. 1, 2, 3 long blinks. And then it comes on real bright and then goes immediately to dark. Let's go ahead and open it up. Maybe take some voltage measurements. Maybe see if we're dropping voltage somewhere. Maybe it's something simple. Maybe it's a cap. It's acting like it possibly could be a cap. Okay, so here we are inside of this TV. I've got it plugged in. The lights are on. I don't guess you can turn this thing on or off with the button. Do you have to do it with the remote? I guess you have to do it with the remote. Yeah. Yeah, the button doesn't turn it on or off apparently. I don't get that. Apparently you have to do it with the remote. But you'll be able to see these points of light on the back here. These hold in the LED strips, and you'll be able to see light shining through the back of this thing when I turn it on. And here it should come up in a second. And you'll see it go bright on some of these points, like right there. And then that brightness goes away. That probably is one of the regulators, I would guess, a voltage regulator, or maybe a cap up here in the power section. Let's see what kind of voltage we're getting overall, just like the B+. And this should be our B+. This should be our B+ right here, off of this main cap, this big one. And we're getting 395 volts right there. Set this up here so you can maybe see. Now I want to see what the voltages are. Let's see. Let's try coming off of a ground. Well, let's go off the main ground right there. And we'll check, see what kind of voltages are coming off up here. It's showing less than a volt right there. It's kind of diving. 13 volts. 12, or was that 12 also? Maybe I misread it. Yeah, excuse me. It's 15 volts right there. Let's get you down here a little closer where you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is the power board right here. Here is the cable that is supplying voltage to the LEDs. It goes up inside of here, and the strip of LEDs probably starts over here and then extends out like this, and they're all lighting up from what I can see, maybe except for the bottom one. Okay, I am seeing a lot of brightness that just, like I said, goes back away. So I want to see what's happening during that period when it's I want to see what's happening during that point when it's getting really bright. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off again, and I'll turn it back on while doing a measurement here. We'll just pick one of these spots. Okay, these connections are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, up to 11. And it has a positive and negative M1. N, what does that say? NC, that's no connection. Then you have an M2 positive and negative, M3 and M4. So that will be the strips of LEDs. M1, 2, 3, 4. So there's probably, yeah, there'll be 4 of them. There'll be 1, 2, 3, and then down here will be number 4. Unfortunately, down here on number 4, there's not a really good way. Well, number 1 neither. But I'm going to presume that they're all working. So there's strip 1, 2, 3, and 4 going across.
We'll turn it back on. I want to measure, let's do this. Instead of measuring to ground, let's measure to, what I want to do is measure the positive and negative of each one of these LED strips individually. This is going to be easier said than done with the setup that I have, though. There's nothing to hook on to. That's the problem. I want to do some ohm measurements and find a place I can hook something onto here. Okay, we do have some caps up here for this supply, or that are close to this area, that I suspect are probably part of that, supplying the voltage to the LEDs. At least these most likely are involved in that. That one probably for sure is involved. None of them are bulged though. I don't see any obvious physical issues with them. So, but we do have some voltage regulators over here. 3 of those. I'm suspecting, and most likely it's a problem with one of those. Let's tell you what. Let's fire this up. We'll measure voltage during the turn on period, and also during the when it comes back down. Hitting power. We've got 0.1 volts right now. Then it goes to 22 volts, and then down to 19 volts. Okay. See what the voltage drop is right there. Okay, it's practically nothing. Yeah, 20 volts there. On M2, $22.9 volts to the negative of M2. Okay. So why does this one have 22.9 volts and M1 only has 20 volts? Let's try M3. M3 has 24.7 volts on it. And then this last one has 51 and a half volts. So why is that? 51 and a half volts. 24.7 volts. I mean, that's roughly double what the other ones have. I bet you there's a shorted LED in strip number 4. It's probably maybe a shorted LED. How would that work though? Some kind of short. Something's drawing excess. There's excess voltage there present. But then again, you would expect it to be lower if there was like a short to ground. It would be lower voltage. Yeah, I just don't know on that. That one's definitely. I think possibly some kind of protection circuit is kicking in. You know, just right after you turn the thing on. It's detecting an over voltage. I'll tell you what I do want to do. I want to see what that voltage gets up to on this M4 over here when you first turn it on. Let's try that. So right now it's at 51 volts. That's after settling. So let's turn it off again. We'll turn it, maybe a little bit of a light there so you can see. Turn it on. And we get Ooh. Ooh, we got nothing. Okay, so it's dead. That's why. That strip is dead right there. It's not sucking down the, it's not drawing down that voltage because it's dead. I think we may have to tear into this a little bit further and see what the actual LED strips are doing and see if they're all coming on whenever it's at its brightest. Okay, I've released these two ribbon cables here. I'm just gonna completely disconnect them so that we don't run the risk of bending or breaking one of them irreparably. It's never any fun. So with those removed, we should be able to get this bezel, get the power switch out of the way there. Should be able to get this surround, this bezel off of here. It doesn't look like there are any screws on the bezel. It's all just kind of snap-on. Gonna be real hard to see, and I'm sorry, but it's the best I can do. The bezel is off. The bezel serves to, well, cover everything up, but it also holds the LCD display layer in place. Well, it holds all the layers in place. What was that? Oh shit! One of the speakers. The speakers basically are just sat in here. They're not really secured at all. So they're only secured in place when you got the back on. It may be wise to just remove those. If nothing else, when you see TVs like this on the side of the road, if you want to try your hand at fixing one of them, you know, the worst that can happen is you'll usually end up getting a little set of speakers out of the deal, because they are pretty cool little speakers. You use them in any number of little audio projects. It doesn't have to go in a TV. I am going to get some well, first of all, first thing I'm gonna do is remove these boards with these. There's some boards down here on the end that those ribbon cables connected to. I am removing those from their little plastic slots. They just pop out of these little plastic slots in this model, and it's going to allow me to get the display up and off of there. Let me get some gloves on. I'm just doing this so I don't get fingerprints on the underside of this display when I lift this up. And I think I want to spin this around as well. Okay. Okay, we're going to have a couple different layers here. Okay, we've got this layer, which is the display layer. Then we have a white layer behind it, which is a diffuser. It diffuses the light and kind of scatters it in all directions. And it looks like there might be a second bezel for that. Yeah. There's a couple additional bezel pieces for that part. So we're going to have to get the screen layer up and off of here. I didn't want to have to remove it like that, but I am going to have to remove it like that. Hopefully without breaking it. Okay. Alright, we'll just be as gentle as possible with that. Now we've got clips. Once again, we're back to plastic clips here. On this, this is a bezel piece for the diffuser layer. Okay, let's lift the diffuser. We should see the LEDs.
layer 1 of the diffuser. Here's layer 2. Okay. Alright, here are the LED strips. And we have 4 of these strips. Let's go ahead and this diffuser will lift off. Yeah, I'm going to be sure to put these in the same order I got them off. I don't think the direction of those 2 pieces matters at all. Okay, now we can see a little bit better what we're looking at here. You know, we might be able to see which of these are lighting up and which of them aren't. I don't know which number corresponds to which row of LEDs. Not even sure. It does look like these have half rows, so they clip together here. So here's a strip, here's a strip, here's a strip, here's a strip. There are 4 rows with 8 total strips. Let's see what happens when we plug it in now. This may have a protection circuit. Without the LCD display, it won't do anything at all. That's possible. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do anything or not. And of course, there's my phone again. Never fails when I try to do something, my phone starts ringing. Every single time. Every time. Yep, we've got a row out. See this strip over here? We've got an entire row out. We have 3 that are lighting and 1 that is not. So we have a whole row of LEDs that is not lighting up. We have a couple of LEDs that are out over here. 3 of them that are out completely. 1, 2, 3 of them over here. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let's pull these strips of LEDs out, because we're going to have to replace them all at the same time. It's always advised that if you replace LEDs in one of these sets, that you just do the whole thing, because if you don't, you're going to have some that are brighter than others. I could do this the cheap way if I was going to flip this set, which I may be doing. We'll have to see on that one. But if I decide to flip this set, I may just replace 1, 2 strips. But I've still got 3 LEDs that are out up here in this quadrant, so not a good idea, really, to do that. It would just, you know, it definitely wouldn't be fair to the next guy who owned this, that's for sure. So we for sure have 1, 2, 3, 4 faulty strips with at least 1 bad LED in each. Or, well, I say that, but we may only have 1 faulty strip right here, because this is a strip that is in series. It probably is in series with this strip. So if this one has any bad LEDs, or there's some other problem with this one, it could be that no voltage at all is even getting down to this one. We can test that. We could actually test that right now to see if there's voltage down there on that strip. And we could also test to see, heck, come to think of it, we should probably do this too. Test to see if there's voltage getting to this point right here, even. So, put on voltage. And there's a couple of test points right here that we can measure to see if we're getting voltage down to this point. Whoops. Okay, we got 24.7 volts right there at that one. We've got 22.9 right there. That's with 1 LED out. And on this one we've got 19.9, and that's with 2 LEDs out. So you can see that the lower the voltage is, the more LEDs you have out, unless they're all out. And then you probably will, that's going to be the one with our largest voltage on it. That's going to be the one that has the 50 volts. Probably, I'm guessing. Nope. No. Nothing? Nope, yeah, that's the one with the 50 volts. Okay. So this one has the 50 volts just sitting there because nothing is being drawn down at all. You know, of course, if you have a load on a circuit, it's going to draw that voltage down. This one has no load at all, so that's why the voltage is high on this one. And it's 50 volts. We'll see if the voltage is making its way down here. And it is. We've got 40 volts down there. The difference between the 51 volts that is here and the 40 volts that is making it over to here are the resistances that are in series along this path. There'll be resistors in there too. It's not just the LEDs. Dropping some of that voltage by the time it gets over here. .7 volts right there, for instance, and then we've got 8.9 right there, 10.9 there, and like 40 there. So, what did I say this one was? 8 something? So the only one that's normal, the one that, this one right here, which starts out with 24.7 volts at this end, and then almost about 11 volts to right there. That's the only one that's behaving normally in this entire thing. This one's obviously got one out, this has got two, and that's got the whole strip. So I think let's go ahead and unplug it. Okay, we've got these little spacers right here. These should just pop out, hopefully. I sure hope they do. Well, yeah, they will. They will from the other side. Okay, they've got it. I need a little needle nose or something to get that. So just, yeah, it's easy enough. There's 4 of them. What that does is it just holds the diffuser up and away from the LED backdrop, which is this white bit. This white bit here. It probably has a technical name that I just don't know. This is very flimsy stuff. I'm sure they do this on purpose. They didn't have to make this flimsy. It's also perforated. So it is exceptionally easy to tear. And they're just held in here by these little edges of the LEDs themselves. But if they get stuck on one, that's about all it takes to rip it. Alright, and also I don't really want to crumple it all up if I can avoid that. So there we go. There's that piece. Because probably what happened is one of these went out, or enough of the LEDs on it went out that it took the other ones out with it, and then when that happens, all the extra voltage gets dumped onto the ones that are left. So then they burn out in quick succession. It looks like we got a little QR code and a part number there. I will probably see if I can bring that up on my phone, and maybe that'll tell us what we need to know. That says 610 LO 129. All those numbers. I'll look those numbers up and see if I can't maybe even use that QR code to figure out some replacement LED strips, and if I can get them cheap enough, I will do that. I'll order some. What does that say? 460
SMA. Maybe that's a part number too. I don't know. And then we've got 13, 7, 10. So that might be from 2010. Maybe that LED strip. Is that possible? And a 2014, early 2014 set, maybe. 28769A. So that's the same thing right there. I'll look up that QR code and the part number. We'll see what we can get. It's possible we can't get anything at all, but if I can get replacements, I'll go ahead and order some. Okay, we're back with this thing. It's been a little while. I went out garbage picking with a friend. We drove around the neighborhoods and looked and seen what kind of stuff we could find. I might make another video of that. We got some video of us going around shooting the shit along the way, so that could be cool. But back with this thing. Turns out I actually had another TV that is almost the same model. It's almost exactly the same model as the one that we have been tearing into so far. This one here, I had it in storage because it was having issues with maybe one or both of the boards. So this one, I believe, will light okay. Possibly. We'll have to see, I guess. I'll look back at the video. I started making a video of this, and I think I realized that I needed to order a power board, I believe it was. And also, when I was trying to get it open, I screwed up this board. I slipped with my tool and screwed it up. I'll show some clips of when I was messing with this, but I think between these two TVs, we might have a full TV, but I'll show you how far at least I got with this one. Okay, here's another TV that was a freebie. This thing is a Samsung something or other. I think it's 48 inches. Pretty good sized television. But this was a I don't know, Facebook Marketplace find. My wife found this while perusing Facebook Marketplace, I believe, and they wanted to give it away. And you know, it's probably going to be your typical either capacitors, ground issues, most likely something simple. If not something simple, then it may be a case of a replaceable board that we can replace very easily. So yeah, let's get it inside and we'll check it out. Okay, so we have this Samsung TV inside. We're gonna plug it in and see what it's doing or not doing. Got a red light here, so there's some kind of standby operation going on. Okay, so there's power present, at least to this point. So let's see what happens when we try to turn it on. I heard something. Woo, hearing something. Okay, so we got sound, we've got a blink, but we have no picture. Let's see if we can change a source. It's got batteries. Okay, now the light's gone. Okay, so this is basically, it acts like it wants to come on. I get a tone like there is an on state, but there is no on state. I don't have any light. Like I said, I had ordered a new board to replace the one that I scratched up on this TV over here. I can't remember how far I got along with it. I think I may have gotten the board in and just never installed it. I can't remember for sure. Maybe we'll do that first, and we'll make sure we don't have a working TV here. We're about to tear apart, you know, with the boards. Worst comes to worst, we're going to be able to make, hopefully, one working TV out of the two of these. I would also be curious to find out whether or not it looks like it's probably the exact same undercarriage and chassis. Like all of this and the plastics and everything are pretty close to being the same. The only difference is, I think on that one that we have, it doesn't come off in a panel like this. You have to take the whole thing off. The switch, it looks exactly the same. The way this is all molded looks exactly the same. I'm kind of curious to see whether or not the power boards and the mounts for all of this stuff is the same. I mean, this will easily take different boards. You can see that there are different mounts that aren't being used on this design. Like there's mounts up here too for another board. We'll go ahead and screw this back in, at least the grounds. We'll screw the grounds back in and we'll swap out this board. We'll plug this one back in and see what we get out of it. Okay, so here we are with the trashed board out and the new board in on this unit, and we're going to plug it in now and see what it does. I'm curious, really curious actually. I don't think I ever did this when I got this new... Oh, we got some sound. Gonna do anything at all? Yeah, we got nothing at all. I think this one I had determined, I can't remember how far I got with this thing. Like I said, I did do some video clips, but I'm not sure how far I got overall. I think this power board has issues. When I was opening this thing up, I screwed this board up on accident. That's why I tracked down a new one for that. It wasn't very much money, but I think this board might be the overall issue here. That diode right there is kind of in the way. I'm gonna test those connections right there. We'll see what kind of voltages we get. Okay, so I took some voltages off of this connector right here that's going to the LEDs, and I was getting some voltages on some of them, but not on others, it seemed like. So I really don't know. I don't know the status of the LEDs in this. Okay, so I've opened the second TV up, and we got some great news. It is the same LED configuration as that one. So hopefully we can salvage. What do we need? We determined we need at least 1, 2, 3 strips, maybe 4 strips. We need to salvage out of this one. So half of the strips hopefully are good in this one. I tried to take the boards out of that one, thinking that they would be directly compatible with this LED backlight and the undercarriage, the chassis. I was going to actually just replace all 3 boards. I was going to transplant all 3 boards over to this one, and they do fit. The boards fit perfectly. But the switch is not exactly the same, and also the Molex connector for the power board to go to the LEDs was slightly different. So it was a different style of connector. So I wasn't going to be able to transplant it like I'd hoped. Unfortunate, but that's just part of it. So what we're going to go forward with our original plan of trying to salvage some of these LEDs. So I think the thing to do here would be to first just start identifying which of these LED strips are workable, and we'll do that by just transplanting them into the spaces that I know are bad over on this one. So let's start with that, and we'll see how many of these we can identify are good. Okay, so I have removed all of the LED strips from the second specimen. Here's another LED strip right here. We're just basically putting this in the place of the one that we know doesn't work at all. So we'll see what happens now when we turn it on. We've got it plugged in, so let's see what happens now. Is it gonna go? Oh, there it goes. Okay, you see how it got bright, and that one, it got bright and then it dimmed. You got one LED that's out, 2, 3 that are out on that strip, that new strip, and the rest are dim. Probably they're dim because there is a protection circuit that automatically dims the remainder of those. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 LEDs that are out on that strip, but now they're staying bright. The rest of them are staying bright as a result of at least having a few that are good. So it's trying to distribute the power evenly among all the LEDs, and what's happened is, you know, it doesn't have enough LEDs to distribute all of the power that it wants, so it shuts everything way down. That's what it's been doing. But with this new strip in there, we at least have some in operational order, so it's better. Still not there, but it's better. These strips are divided into 6, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have a splice, and then we have 5 more. So we have 6 and 5. So it's not exactly cut into half on these models, but you know, again, we're going to have to find at least this half. 1, 2 are out here, so we need this half, we need that half to replace that bulb that's out. And obviously that one's not going to do it for us. Both of those are bad, so we're down to 3 strips left. I mean, at least this has gotten it brighter than it was. Okay, so here is number 2 test strip that we're going to test now. So we'll turn it on again, see what happens. Hopefully we get all lights on that strip. It'd be nice. Nope. You see how it came on and then it went off again? These are all staying on because they have enough LEDs to keep it on. That one, we have a little bit of light in all of them, but something's still not quite right. We've got, that one's way dim. That one's way dim. That one's way dim. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bad LEDs on that one, it looks like. They're not completely out though. It's weird. Well, let's move on to the next one. Okay, here's test strip number 3. Ooh, that one's even worse. That one's got, most of the ones in the middle are out. That one on the end is out. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row right there that are out. So actually that was probably the issue with the other TV, was most of the LEDs were out on it. Well, we've got one final hope. I don't hold out much hope, honestly. And there's really no way of changing the LEDs on these. I'll show you in a minute. There's really no way of doing this. I can't see a way to do it unless you wanted to, I don't know. You'd probably have to take this off of here and then get some pliers and tear the LED off the surface on the top with pliers, because if you look at the bottom surface of these strips, there's nothing on them. There's no traces, there's no through holes, there's nothing like that. You have to actually physically tear the thing off. Now, am I mistaken, or did these stay bright this time? I think they stayed bright, didn't they? Let's try it one more time. Yes. Okay, so those stayed at the same brightness they were when they even came up a little bit to probably compensate for that one back there. But that will burn these out in short order. I mean, we can't let them get hot, you know. Inside the TV, they will just build up heat inside of there, and there's really no cooling in there, you know, to keep them from burning out. They don't even have grill holes at the top for the heat to escape. The heat would all just basically build up. Okay, here we go. We've got one final hope for this thing. Crossing my fingers. I'm looking for it to be bad also. Otherwise, why would the other one be completely dark? Yeah, every single one on that one's... Okay, so you can see what's going on. The ones where every single light on the strip is bad, it will try to light it up. When it detects an overvoltage, it will dim everything down. It's basically a way of telling the user, hey, you've got a problem. One of your lights is clearly out, so your picture is going to be reduced. I mean, it's probably a good circuit to have in there, and it makes sense. but you know, obviously it renders this thing completely unwatchable. We're gonna have to try to come up with something. Maybe I can. I don't know. It would be nice if I could individually repair these LEDs, because we need 1, 2, 3 right there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Really, 14 individual LEDs is what we need. But you know, unless I get them off of these strips and put them on there and transplant them onto there somehow, they would be, if I ordered them, they might be a different color, a different, you know, temperature and all of that. So I'd have to deal with all of that. Really the best thing to do is to replace all these at once, and I don't know if that's going to be economical. We'll have to look and see whether it's economical or not. The one cool thing about if I were to repair this TV would be that would give me some extra parts for the future. I would definitely have, you know, extra set of speakers, for instance, that I could transplant into there. I would have an extra display, LCD display that should transplant onto here. It's probably the same. And that's the hardest parts to find usually. But again, this is like a 2013, 2014 model. So I mean, it's, you know, we're coming on 10 years in a couple years here. We're 8 years old, which is ancient for these TVs now. But it doesn't have to be, but it is. We might look into ordering some of these. Otherwise, you know, this is why a lot of people refuse to work on these, because until you find out what the problem is, until you get in here and find out how many of these LEDs are out, you don't know whether you're going to have to order these strips of LEDs. And in the meantime, when you're waiting for these strips to come in, look at all the space that's being taken up. I mean, I've got this whole floor has got parts everywhere. You know, my whole living room is basically destroyed. I've got parts there that can't really be, they have to be laid flat, otherwise they're going to, you know, be destroyed. I've got the display back there, and there's the diffuser standing up for that one. Here's for the second TV. You know, they have to be stood up like that, or they're going to be destroyed. Somebody will step on them or trip over them or whatever. But like I say, in the meantime, I've just got lots and lots of room being taken up until my order comes in. If I have to order from China, it might be weeks, you know, that all these pieces are sitting around. And then if you do this all the time, you know, your workspace or whatever is going to be destroyed for weeks on end. At any rate, we know what the problem is with this. We have diagnosed it. We know what we would have to do to fix it. Now it would just be a matter of ordering these strips if we wanted to. We may look online here and see if it's possible to order some. Alright, so it's the next day, and we're coming back to this. I am going to install whichever one of these strips is the least bad right here, the one that kept the lights on. And we'll just put the diffuser back on it and put the screen back on it and see if we can't get it to at least be an acceptable picture. Worst case scenario, if the picture doesn't look that great, what I might do is leave the diffuser on the front and put the bezel back on around the front and just use it as a big LED light for like production work. There's all kinds of situations where I could use a big LED to shine light on some of my projects. Last night was a good case in point. It would have been, how nice would it have been to have a big LED the size of a television set, you know, sitting off here to the side, shining on all my work. It would have been very cool, but that might be what we end up turning this into, but we'll see what the picture looks like, and we might leave it as a TV. Okay, so I've gone through all of these strips, and I've marked the bulbs that are out, or the LEDs that are out, rather, with X's. On this first strip, we've got 2 that are out. We've got 1 that are out on this one. On the ones that we pulled out of the other TV, we've got, you can see which ones are out with the X's. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try A couple of these strips were completely dead, so every LED on there is dead. I'm going to use this as practice to see if I can physically, manually pull the LEDs off of this strip and gain access in such a way that we can solder a new LED in its place, something that at least will be continuous, that will allow the entire strip to illuminate, thus taking some of the stress off of the other ones. Because what's happening is this has an automatic brightness control, and when when the circuit detects that one of the LED strips doesn't have enough LEDs on it to light fully, it is dimming that down to save the remaining LEDs. I don't know why it would do that. Not really sure why it would do that, but it's basically transferring all the load and the brightness capability onto the remaining LEDs. I guess to make the entire TV last kind of as long as possible, but the problem is, like I said, we've got several strips over here. This one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 good LEDs on that one. That one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good LEDs on that one. That one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 good LEDs on that one. I suspect if they had just one more good LED on a couple of those with the 7, that they would go ahead and illuminate. So I don't know. I'm going to practice with these just for giggles and see if I can't successfully pull one of those off of there and replace it with a good LED. Okay, here we are up on the bench in the lab, and I was able to pull one of these lenses off. That's basically just a lens that sits over the LED. This is a surface mount LED on these. You can see the little LED there, and you can also see the 3 points where the lens is glued. The lens is easy to break off. We're gonna see here in just a second. I'll show you first how to get the lens off. So this is how I did that. Just basically use some of these pliers or whatever. Let's see. So that should just come right off without much effort or risk of breaking anything. So that seems fine. This whole strip is dead LEDs. So I'm gonna practice on this. We'll pull. See, that just comes off really easily. And if you want to glue it back on, I'm sure it's going to be easy to also just glue it right back on. Okay, so on this part of the video, I'm going to do some narration because I did not, my microscope doesn't have audio, so we'll just narrate what happened here when I tried this to get these LEDs off the board. You can see it's kind of got like a silicone, it's probably a silicone or epoxy, I think it's silicone that's on there, that yellow bit in the middle that's covering the LED. So I'm just going to use some needle nose pliers to actually just break the LED off of the board. And they come pretty easily. You can see how easily that kind of chipped off of there. And what's left is the soldering pad of the LED. So that metal that you're seeing there is actually still part of the LED. And that will need to be gotten off of there as well. So we'll put some, we'll put a little bit of flux on here, and we'll see if we can't desolder those remaining pieces of LED off of the soldering pads. Yeah, don't make fun of the tip of my soldering iron, please. The cool thing about this, though, is that because of the way that this tip actually wore naturally, it has a bit of a concave bit there, so it holds solder very easily and allows me to put solder on, hold a little reserve of solder on the tip of the iron. I've got other tips too that will do the exact same thing on purpose, but this one just kind of didn't wore that way naturally. So we were able to get both of those pieces off of there. So now we have pads that we could actually solder a new LED onto. You can see a bunch of debris and junk there. We'll wash all that off. So I'm going to spray some contact cleaner on it and then brush all of that remaining crap off of there. so you can at least see that this is a possibility. And I actually go through several of these LEDs. We'll move on down the line here and see, if I can repeat it reliably, and if I can repeat this process reliably without really damaging the main board. This might be worth trying, to order some actual LEDs and do the whole boards, really. You see this one kind of broke in a different way, and now we're just pulling that silicone bit off of there with the actual LED suspended inside of it. Or the light emitting part, rather. It kind of gives you a chance to see some of the different layers of the actual LED itself. But same thing. This leaves us with the 2 contact plates on the bottom of the LED that's remaining. You can see from my finger a reference of how small we're looking at here. But that's pretty much that. I mean, you could see how easily it came off. And now it's just, I'm off camera there. I'm removing the pieces of the LED from my soldering iron, and then we'll spray it. Of course, we got a little bit of bridge of solder right there, but it's not that big of a deal right now until we go to solder the new one on. But that, that gives us clean pads to solder to. So the idea here now is we'll go online and we'll order some actual LEDs that as closely match what was in here as possible, or maybe even upgrade. We'll see what the costs are on some various ones. The problem is if you order from DigiKey or Mouser, those are the 2 main part suppliers for parts like this online. If you're ordering in bulk. The problem is if you're not ordering in bulk and you go to order LEDs, they usually come in rolls of like 2,000 LEDs. So if you're not going to order 2,000 of these things, you're better off. I think it's 2,000, or is it 20,000? It might even be 20,000, but it's a high number. And if you're not ordering that many of them at a time, they charge you like a $7 fee just to cut rolls. So if you're ordering like 10 of these or 100 of these only, you can do that, but they charge you a fee on top of the price of the individual LEDs. I don't know why they do that, but I think they're just trying to encourage you to only buy in bulk, obviously. But I went on to eBay, and I was able to find some LEDs that pretty closely, if not perfectly, match these exact LEDs. And we'll show those too when they come in. And what's funny is they were actually located in my town of Louisville. So I guess if I wanted to, I could probably have driven over there and picked them up. But I just went ahead and ordered them off eBay. We'll see when they get here how close of a match that they really are. What I might do is replace one of the strips with new LEDs, and then we'll compare to the other ones. But I ended up getting I think it's 100. I think I got 100 of the things for like $6. So, that is a far cry from the 40. It was going to be $45 to order all 8 of these strips from a website. I think it's Jimmy's something. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see what it was. You can go online and order these strips from this place, and they have them. But the problem is, it's $45, and it's by the time you pay shipping, that might be $60 or $70, depending on where you are, because it's going to have to be a decent sized package to get to you. So you might be looking at, $60. We'll say $60 with shipping to get those. And I mean, what's the value of this TV? You could probably go on a used site and just buy one that you don't have to do anything to, you know, for that kind of money. That's from like 2014. I mean, because like I said, this is an older model now, so. But the best way to save this, in my opinion, is to buy the LEDs, and this is what we're going to try to do. We'll move forward here. At the point when I'm doing this voiceover, I haven't yet received the LEDs, and maybe this will be a complete bust. You know, I may have just thrown good money after bad here. But we'll see. If this does work, then this is probably the way I will approach fixing these in the future. I will just replace the LEDs at board level. I will break them off and replace, if not all of them, then at least all of them on one strip, so that we can get all of the ones that are actually out. So we can get the backlight to light fully and reliably. And so the power dissipation for each strip will be correct, and the protection circuits won't kick in. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody. I'd like to see less of these TVs be thrown into the landfill, man. You know, it's a shame that it's these tiny LEDs. You know, it's a nothing part, and it's a part that costs, I mean, like I said, $6 for 100 of them. What is 6 cents a piece, you know, that you could replace these for. Yeah, man. With a repair that could potentially be that cheap, there's no reason, like if you can solder yourself. Now, you wouldn't want to take it to a tech and have this done probably, because he would still have to charge you for the time to dig down in here and replace all of these. You know, so this is why it's helpful for you as an individual. Learn to solder, stocks a few parts, learn where to go order parts and look for parts and what to look for and all this kind of stuff. And, on these particular, I will put links in the description where you can go order individual LEDs for this if you want to, and do this yourself. You know, there's no reason to throw a TV to the curb if you have just a modicum of skills. So anyway, you get the idea here. You see how pretty that pad is? I mean, we're going to be able to solder to that. And then we'll be able to glue the lens back on those 3 little glue points, and hopefully you'll never even know this was repaired. Okay, I don't even necessarily know if the heat, is even necessary to break these off in the way that we're breaking them off. And that's really the only reason we're doing this. We're just doing this to see what's possible and what isn't. We know it's possible to remove these lenses with relative ease. We know it's possible to break the old LED off of the board. We're not yet sure if it's possible to solder a new LED in its place. Hey dudes, how's it going? So we're back with this. It's been a little while since I ordered these LEDs. These were actually supposed to be located in my hometown, and it took forever for them to get here. I don't know what they did. Maybe they sent them to fucking Siberia before they brought them back to Louisville. I don't know. But anyway, here they are, and they come in this little package with, should be 100 of them in here on a roll. It's got an edge on it with some holes in it. That's presumably so that, some kind of gear would drive this, again, through some kind of machine that would place them automatically. Of course, we're not going to be doing that. We're not that high tech. We are going to try our hand, though, at mounting some of these on here. And a larger one down below, and that will of course correspond to the soldering pads on the strip. And it looks, just by placing it on here, it looks like we've gotten something that's going to be in the correct size range. I don't know if the color is going to be correct. These are listed as cool white, 250 milliamps, 3 to 3.4 volts should be fine. Again, we have what I say, 11 of these things on a strip, and each strip has about 22 volts to 24 volts per strip. So yeah, we're looking kind of in the 2 point something odd volts range. We're gonna have to do this with the rework air station, and I am not very good at soldering in this manner. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't have the practice for it, but this is part of what this is all about, is gaining the practice for it. Okay, so we're gonna slap some flux on here. Yep, these are some tiny little boogers, and we should be able to, we orient this the correct direction and get it down on there, and if we put some heat to it, it should basically just suck itself up to the appropriate position once that solder melts. At least that's the hope. Okay, I did look up at one point, I looked up the specs on this, and I think it was about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 380 to 400, I think we'll go with about 380. I want to turn the force of the air down a little bit so I'm not blowing this thing all over the place. And we'll just try to hold it in place while we solder it. Did that stick? Man, if that's stuck, we're in good shape. If not, then it's back to the drawing board. I guess this is the test, isn't it? It's on there. Dude, that was easy. Okay, that's on there. Ha! Okay, let's do this whole strip, and then we'll just knock them all out, man. So when I took these off, once again, I did add some solder to these pads, so they're already basically pre-soldered and ready to go. Yeah, and for any of you guys who, are professionals who do this kind of rework on a daily basis, this is going to be very cringy. You're watching a guy basically learn how to do this. I have stated in the past, this is not my forte. I work on through-hole stuff. I don't really work on surface mount stuff most of the time. I really don't like it. This is kind of interesting because I'm trying to salvage something from the trash that was relegated to the trash, so it's got that angle of it shouldn't be something that I'm capable of doing, and I'm gonna do it anyway, kind of thing. Okay, I think I saw that go right there. And here comes the test. Oh, nope, something didn't work. Let's add just a little bit more flux to it and try again. Might be a good idea to even add just a touch more solder to it. Okay. Maybe. I think on that last go around I may have tried to move it a little bit too rapidly as well. It's possible because this thing stays pretty hot for a minute because it's backed with aluminum, so, or aluminium if you're one of those people. If you're insistent. I'm just going to keep trudging along here. I don't, let me see, did this one stay? Yep, it's on there. Well, no, it's not. No, it's not either, is it? Huh. I'm going to add some solder to that. I'm not sure if I can rework this one anymore. This one is... I don't think you're supposed to do these more than a couple times before they'll go bad on you. I may have destroyed this one. I've got enough solder on there now where it's kicking the thing upward, so we'll be able to at least tell when it's melted. Yeah, hopefully I did not destroy that. I guess we'll see, won't we? It doesn't look like I did. I'm sure looks can be deceiving though. And that probably was my problem with that, is I didn't have enough solder on there, so lesson learned I think on that. I may just go ahead and add preemptively a little bit more. And certainly flux isn't going to hurt. Should have seen that. Should have seen that coming. Well, I think the problem is now it's high up enough off of there that it's getting air up under it. Alright, that was a bit different way of doing it. I heated the solder first and then sat it down on there. Feels like that worked. So there's 3 down and 3 to go on this strip. Just keep going. Like I said, this is kind of just practice anyway. I'm not very good at this type of soldering, so it's not going to hurt me to polish this skill a little bit. I need a better delivery system for this. I got a paintbrush or something? Yeah, there we go. Makes a hell of a lot more sense. Okay, I think I quite like that method of heating the solder first and then just setting this down on top of it. So we'll try that again. Whoops. Or maybe we won't. I'm not sure I trust that at all, because I kind of muddled that up a little bit. I think it's on there, but I don't know if I may have squished it too hard and bridged the connections on that one. I guess we'll see when we try to plug it in, won't we? Alright, we're at the end of this strip, but I've got another one back at the beginning I gotta go back and get. Okay, I saw it move there, so presumably the solder was melted. Okay. Just gonna go back and check the ones I've already done. Just make sure none of them move easily. Alright. Okay. And then I've got this one more here at the end. Alright, I think that one's on there too. I don't like how crooked that last one right there is. I'll do something about that. I don't know. I don't know if trying to straighten it up is going to be worth the effort. Maybe we'll just have to glue around it. I think for the glue to stick, we're definitely going to have to clean it up. So let's go ahead and spray some contact cleaner, which is mostly just alcohol. Or better yet, I'll just use alcohol. Alright, so there that strip is cleaned, and it might be a good idea to just go ahead and test it before we put all these lenses back on. Okay, so I took that strip back to the set, and I tried it in the set, and good news, every light came on, so I was successful in making those. So the ultimate goal here, obviously, is to make both sets work. So I'm going to go through these strips, and every one of these that has an X on it, I'm going to pull these lenses off and break the LEDs off, as I've already shown how. The lenses, I don't think, are necessary at all. I don't think these are really doing much. I guess we will see, but I just don't think that they are really necessary. Okay, that seemed easy enough, almost too easy. Alright, I think I'm getting better at this. Okay, here's one that's only got one bad one. So we'll go ahead and grab that one real quick. And I'm not going to dilly-dally with it this time. I'm just gonna bust it off of there like I did with all the original ones. Which is super easy to do, by the way. Really easy. Yeah, really, that takes all of about 10 seconds to get an LED off of there. Okay. Put some solder back on it. And get a new LED. Alright, I think I like this method of doing it. So you basically heat up the solder and the flux first, and then just set this down on it, and then heat up the whole work, the entirety of the work, and it seems to go a little bit better. So preheat the solder and then lay this down. Well, I say that, and then I screw it up. My problem is this damn thing's moving all everywhere. Nah, I need more flux. Shit. There we go. Let's try that again. If that doesn't stick, I might have to rework that one. It didn't go so smooth. The one, of course, the one that I picked to get a close-up on doesn't go as smooth as some of the others. Yeah, it's not even on there, is it? Let's try that again. Hell. Alright, I'm gonna get a new LED. I think that one's had it. He's kind of been around the block. I keep melting the LED plastic onto the tweezers, which isn't supposed to happen. The plastic is supposed to be thermal resistant plastic. I mean, it's not thermal proof, but it's supposed to be thermal resistant to the point where it doesn't do that, but it's doing it. Yeah, you see, I really marred that up. I might pull that one back off of it. We'll see if it lights, though. I'm kind of curious if it'll light. But see, that plastic right there it's not supposed to do that. What that did. Okay, it does seem to be on there, so we can at least test this strip now. See if it lights up. I've got these two strips now complete. I need another 5-piece complete as well to get the whole TV. Yeah, this strip is a little bit different. This one has a different kind of pad. You can see over there, right there, it looks like it has 3 pads instead of just the 2. So this one coming in up here should be the positive right here, I think. And this should be negative down here, I believe. Okay, here we are back with the full set. So the ones that I have repaired are every single one on this strip right here. Two of them rather, on this strip, and then one of them right here on this strip. So this strip, and then these 2 bottom strips have repaired LEDs. So let's see how it goes. With any luck, they all come on and stay on. Okay, now this one is, the rest of them are entirely on, and for some reason this one up on top is not on at all. So I'd say one of the 2 that I repaired has got an issue. Okay, so I was mistaken actually. These are two slightly different models. The numbers on these are different, and also the orientation of the positive and negative are different. You see right here, the negatives on this side, and this one, the positives on that side. So if you try to hook these up, you've got them backwards. I just presumed without looking that they were all the same, and they are not. That's another tricksy way it looks like they're getting you to give up on a TV that might otherwise be good. Interesting. So you can see they're different numbers, so I guess it's not that big of a deal, but it seems like they would standardize that, doesn't it? But why wouldn't they? Only reason I could think of is to screw with your head. Okay, here we are one more time. We got the full set installed. This is the set that belongs with this set. So let's try it and see what happens. There it is. Every single, it's even brighter. Look at that. It even turned up. It tested and then it said, oh, I've got a full set of LEDs, and then it turned up. And do you see what I mean about these little lenses? I don't think they're necessary. I mean, you can obviously tell which ones don't have the lenses, but I really don't think they're necessary. It's the same overall brightness. It just scatters it slightly. But I think by the time you put the diffuser on it, it's not going to matter anyway. But dude, I'm over the moon by that. That's a set that would have gone to the trash. That will now see a brand new life. And not only that, but when it does the same thing again, I'll know how to fix it next time. So that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I guess we'll get it all put back together. It's a bit late at night now, but I'll do this tomorrow, put that one back together, and then we'll see if we can go through the other set as well and change every LED in it if that needs to be changed. And yeah, man, we'll have two working sets instead of just the one that we were hoping for, so that's an even better outcome. Okay, so here's the second TV, and we've got all the strips installed in it. And all of the lights now work on it as well. So very cool. Also, I want to show you something on this one about the test points for these LED strips. This is interesting because when it's in the off position, see, you still got the LEDs are on just a little bit. So there's a little bit of current draw still through the LEDs, and you can see even they're flickering now and then too. I'm not sure how that might affect the longevity of the LEDs. You can also see that the new ones I installed are brighter even than the older ones. The older ones don't have that current draw, apparently. These do. These are staying on, the new ones. So that's kind of interesting. It's very, very low, but they're still on. And that could be just drawing off current from a capacitor. It's possible. But you see how bright these are. Well, it might be kind of hard to see. You see, these are the old ones. These are the new ones, and they're much brighter. In the room, they appear at least much brighter. And I wonder how much the lens, you can see which ones I replaced because they're not lensed like these. I'm going to stick some lenses over a couple of these, and we'll see what kind of difference that makes. So these are the new ones, and these are the older ones. I'm going to put a lens over the new one. See what kind of difference that makes. Yeah, it definitely stamps down the intensity a bit, doesn't it? It makes it much more on par with the older ones. And I guess if I wanted to come in here and put all the lenses back on, I could do that just with a little drop of super glue on the outside of, or on each side of that would probably get it. I don't know if I want to mess with that or not. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I think I might put the diffuser back on and see first whether it's even worth trying to put these lenses back on all these. Okay, here we have everything back together with the exception of the lenses, and you can clearly see the lenses are necessary. You can see every single one that I replaced shining right through. So that would be not a very pretty picture to try to watch. So yeah, definitely we'll have to glue all of those lenses back on there. Not a huge deal, but just a little bit more of a pain in the ass. Alright, so here we are with all the lenses glued back in place. You can still kind of see where the replacements are because they're a little bit brighter than the original ones. Okay, so here is monitor number 2 back together. Everything's working perfectly. I even drag some what that does is it just holds the diffuser up and away from the LED backdrop, which is this white bit. This white bit here. It probably has a technical name that I just don't know. So there's one down. Let's get the other one back together now. Okay, so here is TV number 2, and I think it looks even a little bit better than the first one. I'm not sure why. It's virtually the same thing. Let's see. Let's check something. The menu looks a little bit different on this one. You see here the backlight and the contrast. The backlight is at 20 instead of like, well, let's see. That's all the way up, isn't it? See, if you turn these backlights down a little bit, up or down from where they set them from the factory. See, that's set all the way up. Let's do this. Let's go standard. And that brings the backlight down to 11. That's going to, long term, that's going to save your LEDs. They're going to have a lot less stress on them if you leave that down, the backlight, the brightness, all that stuff. So let's leave that right there where it is. So yeah, man, that's it. We've got actually 2 TV monitors now, instead of just one, which is what we were expecting up front. We were expecting only to be able to salvage one out of parts of the 2. Yeah, and also in the process, you know, I honed a new skill, which I should be able to use a little bit more going forward into the future. So yeah, that will do it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please hit subscribe. Please share this on any social media that you have. If you enjoyed it, you got something out of it. If somebody has one of these TVs that you know they're struggling with, maybe point them to this video. And I sure appreciate all the support and help. It's been a little bit of a go of it. Lately, I've branched out into some other things and taken a break on some of the bench work just to try some new things, hone some new skills, get out of the house a little bit more, and you know, my views have taken a hit as a result. So yeah, I appreciate you guys sharing all that you can, and for now, we'll see y'all later.